I just invited Mike Moriarty just to come and share a little bit of his testimony this morning, because over the last certainly year and a half, Mike's journey has been one that I've been intensely proud of as a pastor, and really for me is almost like a prophetic picture of what I'd love to see go viral. Someone that's really just gone up a gear big time and allow God to really change them, really. So I'm going to hand over to Mike. If you'd love to welcome him, that'd be awesome.
Jeevers, you talk a good game, Sammy. When I was thinking about this, I guess there's probably some parallels between like the journey of the church growing and a person growing, I guess, and so it's probably fitting to talk about this. Could be like an ad for Subaru, because it is a journey, you know, it's not the destination. So I think about like a year and a half ago, reading the Bible and praying was sort of like an optional extra, I guess. You know, you're travelling mercies on the way on a road trip, or before you kai, or on a good day you might crack open the dusty Bible and give it a read. But I think for a while God was knocking on the door a little bit. I prayed I wanted to be a deputy principal one day, and I got that, and it wasn't enough. There was a hole. I wanted to kick some addictions, and I kicked them. It wasn't enough. There was still a hole. So, there's nothing that I could do. So I thought, let's give Jesus a try. So when this upper click came along, I thought, that might be a good thing. I can get a coffee on the way to work, and great. So that basically that 1-year-old Christian 22 times applied to me, in short. So beyond Jesus himself coming to me in dreams and different things, having the upper click community has probably been the biggest influencing factor in some changes in my life. And it's a journey. I'm not there. I can be a horrible person sometimes to my wife and kids. That's straight up, you know. But I'm working on it. I'm a hypocrite in transition. But we have a community in this upper click group. It's taken a while to get to that vulnerability stage, you know, and we care and we listen to each other, and it has taken time. Then the HS came along, and it impacted me in a deep, healing way. It's been unpleasant, in short, but necessary. Bit like a deep tissue massage, I guess. Ooh, ooh, and then afterwards, I'm glad I did that. Just glad. At the start of the year, I prayed for 2019 to be a year that was different to every other year, because I really felt like it's been Groundhog Day. Little did I know that Jesus would have me holding a teddy, bawling my eyes out, talking to a man on Skype. So, you know, as a counsellor. So, you know, be careful what you wish for, I guess, isn't it? The next thing in the journey is if I found out that if I want to go deeper, all I had to do was really ask and keep asking. Tried to avoid that. And I had some preconceived ideas where I thought me and God could go. And I thought I would take God with me. Yeah. Yeah, little did I know that's not the way it was going to go down. I had to sort of change my idea around time frames as well, and God's time, and what I thought would be, you know, what would come and when it should come, and what it would look like when it did. And I'm really glad that I got out of the driver's seat. So that's a bit of my journey. I'm still in it. I'll always be in it. And I value the community of Upper Click, and long may it continue.
So I just want to ask Mike a couple of questions just to help unpack a couple of things. Can you tell everyone now, like on your best day, so this is like on your best day, what your devotional life would look like at the moment?
So on my best day would involve getting up in the morning, reading the Bible, having the silence before it, reading the Bible, and then praying, and then the silence in the morning. Then it would go to, in the middle of the day, I'd close my door in my little office and do a pray as you go. And then in the evening, I'll do like an EHS, something or other. That would be on my best day.
Awesome.
So just to help unpack that, because that's all like in-house lingo almost with the Upper Click group. So the silence bit at the starts is where we're trying to encourage people just to sit with Jesus. No agenda. They're not asking for anything. You're not even talking. You're just sitting with him and you're slowing yourself down and being conscious of his presence. And then he does those other things, finishes with that. The Pray As You Go is an app that's contemplative. That guides you through a scriptural reflection, which takes about 10, 12 minutes. And then the EHS devotional is, some of you guys know what we're talking about there. Again, silence and just a reflection to help us grow in the practices and to grow in who we are. So that's pretty epic, in anyone's book. And I know that's his best day, but those are the conversations that we're having on our Upper Click thing. So I reckon that's pretty incredible in a year and a half to go from Dusty Bible Travelling Mercies to on his best day 3 times of intentional withdrawal in a deputy principal role with a young family. Okay, everyone's got the time thing as the big challenge. Like that's prioritising it. And then I'm of the conviction that Mike, then the Lord began to go, he's got some stuff in place that enables him to experience my love regularly. Let's begin to heal some brokenness. Winds up in the garage with the teddy bear on Skype to the counsellor, but prepared to do that because there's some sort of conviction that it's worth it. I think that's all. That is all. Thank you, Mike. That's awesome. The reason we're doing what we're doing is because every week I'm having conversations like that go, I'm going to fight tooth and nail as a pastor to create a culture where that is easy to happen. Not everyone's going to want it. I've been reading, as I mentioned, this book called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. It's a real mouthful by John Mark Comer. And he, obviously, the biggest challenge that we're all going to face is time. Do we have time to prioritise Jesus? Do we have time to prioritise the church and its mission? But when it comes to following Jesus, if we aren't prepared to make the time, then really we can't say we're following Jesus. I know that sounds super blunt, but that is kind of the reality. It's like, I'm not prepared to learn the practices of Jesus, then I'm not really following him. I believe in him. The demons believe in him, but that's fine. Do you believe in him? And I want to understand his ethics and theology. That's cool. But the practices are what transform our life into love, joy, and peace. It's so worth it. And to believe in Jesus, another word for believe is to trust. So belief is actually trust. I trust you, Jesus. So what I'm hoping is we get to a point where we have a way deeper trust that it's worth the way to follow the way of Jesus, not just the truth of Jesus, because it's I trust him. He'll bring life if I do. And that's been Mike's testimony, my testimony, many of our testimonies as we've chosen to trust in him. All right, we want to just give a little bit of an update on a few of the kind of big picture things with our trusts, and then we're going to spend some time waiting on the Lord together. So I'm going to hand over to Allan and Charlotte, who are just going to give you a bit of an update about where we're going in terms of some of our community plans to again, we've got some phenomenal people God's given us. Unbelievably gifted people. Allan has recently retired as a school principal. He's on our board, and it's helpful because he knows the governance world very well, which is helpful for people on a board, and got great leadership on him. And then all of a sudden, he's time rich. How interesting. And then we start talking and spinning off each other and sparking around where the church is going, and he's just been so deeply committed and passionate. And then Charlotte Buxton, who I know we talk up a lot, but it's like, with good reason, she's one of those people that left the career trajectory for the kingdom. She was on trajectory for all this stuff, and we've debriefed it heaps. Sacrificial, but so worth it. And I could not be prouder of her. She was the one training the best teachers, graduate teachers from Christchurch. She was the one training them to be the ninja teachers across the board in the Canterbury region. So she was smashing it and unbelievably proficient and respected and gives it all up. But all of those gifts and skill sets, interestingly, are coming together and dynamite in terms of what she's carrying and what's about and the passion and the calling on her life, and so very proud of her. So let's give them both a warm welcome, and then they're going to share their things.
Thanks, Sam. He's going to just put up a few slides.
we have a house church going at the moment on Thursday night, just to sing about the house church, and we start off with a barbecue at 6 and just spend time with the Lord. And it's, you know, the thing is, my sheep hear my voice, the Lord said. We all hear God's voice. And, you know, one of the big encouragements that I have is coming along to that group and where people participate and hear God's voice. This scripture came up, which is really awesome, and it's Psalm 92. The righteous will flourish like a palm tree. They will grow like a cedar of Lebanon, planted in the house of the Lord. They will flourish in the courts of our God. They will still bear fruit in old age, which is pretty good for this fella. They will stay fresh and green. You know, and that's been a word that God's been saying to me a long time, just in my spirit. And then that scripture came out and I read it, that the palm tree, it just keeps producing on and on. It doesn't shrivel up and die and you cut it down, turn into fire. It keeps on producing. You know, and that's just such an encouragement, isn't it? No matter what stage of life you are, God's got something. And we've been going through, which has been amazing, John Mark Comer, and we've been going through identity and calling. And man, that has just been so amazing, knowing your identity and calling. And that just fits in so much with this and what we're doing with Manawa Ora Trust. So Manawa Ora Trust means in Māori breath of life. Breath of life. So that's can be taken a lot of ways, can't it be? But it does speak a lot about the Holy Spirit being in whatever we do. We want the Holy Spirit to move on there. Okay, so the next slide is, this is our mission, which ties in with the discipleship, really ties in with Sam. I didn't know he was going to bring it up, but I put this in here. It's about be with Jesus, become like Jesus, do what Jesus did. Manawa Ora fits really strongly into the mission side, do what Jesus did. But you can't separate it out from the be with Jesus and become like Jesus. Here's another word that came out on Thursday night. This is why you've got to get into a house church, you know, because God keeps speaking these words. This is what the Lord said on Thursday night as well. It's sometimes we think spiritual growth is about us, right? Oh, God, you are making me more spiritual and stuff like that. It's actually about mission. It's about when you go out and you meet with people, God changes you through those people. So when I became a primary school teacher, Beth will know, I started at Flaxmere Primary and I'd come out and I'd been at Bethlehem College and I was a little white boy. I had a bit more hair there, but not much more. And I started off teaching there. I didn't think I was going to last till Easter. No, honestly, I didn't think I went in there and these kids would not do what they're told. They would not learn. They were kind of like, and you're kind of thinking, I don't like these kids. And I tried to change those kids. I'm going to sort these kids out. And by Easter, I thought, I have spent 4 years. I'd left my printing job. I'd taken my wife and family, you know, and I'd got this jolly job and I'd spent tens of thousands of dollars, about $20,000 training to be a teacher, and I went in there and I thought, and someone said, have you got a plan B? And I said, no, I haven't got a plan B. This is what I'd come into. And what I learnt there at Flaxmere Primary, and which made me a good teacher, was this. I was the one that had to change. It was me. And that's what God's saying to us as Christians. When this mission thing is happening, I'm not saying that because identity and calling, you are called to certain things. So I'm not saying, you know, you have to do te hahi and cold knock on doors and stuff like that if that's not your calling. But if it is, do it. But it is about when we do stuff, we will change as we become like Jesus. So that's why you can do it any way you like. You can go out and start doing things and you'll be down on your knees praying and reading your Bible every day. Okay, so that's the mission. Okay, so the next trust. So why did we start this trust? And basically it was because we had Bruce and Marley come to our church. And I've often found that, you know, you want to know what God wants you to do. Well, it's usually right out in front of you. So Bruce and Marley came to our church, and they're doing awesome work in Maraenui. And we basically said, well, what do you want us to do? You know, do we want to start this flash program and we can come in and we can do this and do this? And they said, no, we want you just to support what's actually already happening in Maraenui. And, you know, that got us really focused on, it wasn't actually about church programs, and we're all good at that. We all want to go in and solve everyone else's problem. Again, it comes back to us. It's not about us imposing things. And one of the big things we did, we got the counsellors in, and we came in and we got all the statistics about Maraenui, and we found out that there's an incredible amount of stuff happening in Maraenui. It's been going on for decades in Maraenui. The council's been pouring money in there, different agencies been going in there, but nothing's been changing. Nothing's changing. And so we are going in really by faith, understanding that it's actually about people, and you actually got to find out what they want, and you've got to work with them. And that's what I mean about us changing, because some of us, you know, have got to learn got a lot of change. So you've got to be really cool to it. So Bruce and Marley have been running a Destiny program, really, but they don't go to Destiny Church, and that's another journey. But he's been running Man Up, and Marley's been doing Legacy, and they've been working with people there. Tremendous programs that they've been running. And then Charlotte felt that, and she'll talk more about that, about how you know, she's been called to be working with mothers and children. And so we went through this whole journey about, shall we start an early childhood centre and we can get funding here and funding there. And when it really come down to God says, no, I want you to do a play group with mothers. And you don't get any money, basically. So, oh my goodness. So anyway, but that was really good, because when we talked to the councillors, we saw the demographics of Maraenui, and actually nearly half the population of Maraenui are single mums with children. And so that's just amazing. So that's a huge mission field that we can open up there. Bruce does an outreach on Saturday. Every Saturday he's down there around about 11 o'clock preaching out there, and he's got a huge presence in Maraenui. Okay, so the next reason why we had the trust is to build relationships, identify needs, and begin new initiatives. So we had to go to the lawyers and get this trust all set up, because we're having it ties in under what we're doing as a church, but you actually need a non-church type trust to just facilitate things. And already we're starting to, so that's all been done. We've just finally set it all up, signed it. That takes ages, costs a heap of money. And we're just getting the bank account sorted, which we're going to do on Monday, I think it is. And then basically it's all up. So that's just a vehicle. So the trust is there as a vehicle for us to work through. And at the moment, you know, we'll you know, hopefully start a play group next year, and there'll be other things. But you know, we've talked about Christian Against Poverty, and so a whole lot of those things will go through that, and we will hopefully be able to use that as a doorway to getting funding and a vehicle to use. We have been using, some of you have been here a while, talked about how the Plunket rooms opened up in a real ideal space there, and we were using that for a little while, and then the council have taken it over because they're renovating it, and the renovation should be finished next year. But, you know, we have found working, you know, you see it on the news, and people are talking about, you know, well, dealing with government stuff, especially Māori dealing with government. They call this, you know, colonialism stuff comes in, you know. Well, we've kind of experienced that. Maybe, you know, you've got people and organisations, and this is the thing, where it's actually against principalities and powers that we're working about, you know, that we're changing. The kingdom of God, that's what we're doing. If you understand Jesus on the cross, you'll notice that it was all about that. When you're dealing with government organisations, they will come and they will consult with you, but they've already decided what they want to do, all right? No, we know best what's for you. So that's what we're dealing with. And so that has got us understanding what Māori have to deal with when they're dealing with government organisations, because there's this kind of, they've got the idea of what's going to happen, and then they'll come along, and of course they have to show they've done consultation, and then they'll go away and they'll come back and you say, where did that come from? Who decided that? But it's too late. So we've had a little bit of that, particularly with the Plunket rooms, but there's other things. So those are the areas we've got to pray into in our city. It's not about just people. It's about principalities and powers and structures, about the way things are run. And when you look at it, it's not about money either. There are heaps of money. There is heaps of money out there. It's about God breaking down those principalities of power, directing those resources where it makes a difference. Yeah. And the last thing is why I trust to provide a legal charity to apply for grants, network and partner with other government and non-government organisations. Yeah. So I think I've sort of covered that on my other one, didn't I? Why I trust. Yeah. Okay, so that's the Manawa Ora Trust, and that's where we're at right now. So it's been quite a long time and quite a lot of stuff. And sometimes to birth something takes, like 9 months. It's been a bit like that. Okay, so now Charlotte's going to share about a little bit, probably connecting in with that, and also about what's going to happen in the future.
Thanks, Allan. Just on a personal note, I'm not a very good visionary. It's been weird to me that I've had an idea and that the idea is out there. I really like tiny little details, and I'm also really impatient. So this has been a really hard process because I had envisioned, like you said, Mike, what you want to bring God along to that you've already got sorted. So it's been really incredible timing through a wonderful connection through Jean and through Nikki that we had a little field trip to a place called Te Aroha Noa in Highbury, Palmerston North. And for me, the reason I want to share it with you is because often with vision, we're looking so far in the distance and we want to do something right and we want to do all the right process, but it's hard to see what you're going for. So Te Aroha Noa has been something concrete for me and something clear for me that is like a blueprint of where we want to go. They are 30 years on from where we are, so this is truly a life's work. For me, it was the right timing of encouragement because, like Allan has alluded to, it's been a frustrating process of understanding bureaucracy and supposed consultation. And like Bruce beautifully said, welcome to the fight. We're fresh blood to join him. So it's nothing new to him or to Marley or to any of the people they've been working with, but we really have experienced that real dissatisfaction and really the huge amount of frustration throughout this time. So what I can tell you to date, we have built really good relationship with the Ministry of Education, which is a huge bonus. The Ministry of Education wants a playgroup in Maraenui. They don't want an early childhood centre, so we were wonderfully in line. God knew that all along. They want a playgroup because they want to strengthen and uplift families and draw people out of isolation and increase participation in early childhood education. Funnily enough, that's really similar to what we want to do as a church. So I've had really open conversations with Christine from the ministry and continue to. She has generously brought me into hui and meeting where I have no evidence of anything we've done. I'm not there on behalf of my playgroup, didn't exist. I wasn't even there on behalf of our trust because that's only just got sorted. But she has brought me into these conversations, into hui, onto marae, and just experiencing exactly as we want to be, but with no actual proof. I feel very embarrassed sometimes, but I'm very confident and I can pull it off when I need to. But Te Aroha Noa by name is a community service of unconditional love. It's love without strings attached. For me, it is love that's like given and offered and wrapped around. And the minute you step into that place, it's not like super flash and amazing. It's not... It kind of blends quite well with its community. Its community is really similar to Maraenui, but you feel the love. It is a service that wants to wrap around and lift up and strengthen, which is our heart for what we want to do. So it was an actualization of what we want to look at, but it had already happened. And it was incredibly encouraging because the thing they started with was a playgroup. And they borrowed a corner of a church hall, bought in carpet, bought in box of toys, and started one morning a week. Unsuccessfully. People didn't come. So that was really fantastic. And the guy that we met with was really honest about the fact that it was a process. And so it was very meaningful to me to hear that there was something we could align ourselves with, but also that it hadn't been as incredible as it looks when we saw it. So they started with one morning a week, eventually moved to 3, and now their playgroup is an early childhood centre. But the significant thing is they have not lost the heart of what they wanted, which is it is an early childhood centre with a special character. It's not a drop-off childcare facility. It is a whānau and family integrated early childhood centre. It is huge. It is beautiful. It has got space for family. It includes family family is really significant. So they've held the heart 30 years on from what they did that first day. So as well as that, they have holiday programs, family and whānau development, Hippie and Skip, which are like family support programs. They do counselling, they do social work, they're opening a dentist. They have got an actual medical centre, they do adult education, they do young teens, mums education unit right next to the early childhood centre. They do research, they engage with community, they run kind of alternative ed for when kids have even come through alternative ed. And they slowly started to buy up state houses with big back sections. They own 8 in a row, and they have been developing them. And we got to see the counselling rooms are just basically using the lounge and the bedrooms. Next house along has been developed into a full medical centre, and then things were being developed and bought even then. So it's a very relatable kind of into what they're doing, a very similar community, and they wanted to address those same things of the isolation and the low-level participation. I want to tell you a story about a woman named Pania. This was the most exciting part of the afternoon that we spent there. Pania started coming along to the playgroup as a young mum, so 30 years ago. She actually fell over the sandwich board that advertised the playgroup. That's how she made her way in. She became a Christian through the playgroup. She started doing some parenting courses through playgroup. She actually did whatever course and every course that they offered through the playgroup, and we met her. She is a trained and fully qualified social worker. She works for Te Aroha, which, so she's had that 30-year history with them, and she is now changing the lives of the families around her. And to me, that was so affirming, because you can think, here I want to do this isolated thing, here we do want to, get some mums in a room and teach them how to play with their children and give them some space and encourage them. But you change the course of a family's life. You change their history. So on the back of her wall of the door of her office is all of her moko, and she's very proud of them, and she has changed the course of her family because she went to a playgroup. She fell over a sign and went to a playgroup, but she met Jesus, and she felt confident that she could one day study. She'd left school as a teen mum and hadn't gone back. And that was just such an incredible story of the fact that this is how we change lives. My impatience is I want to do all these things and make change happen, but it's a long game. And that's what I love about our commitment to Maraenui as a community, that it's a long game. And we cannot go in there and it will not work in it. I can see that it will not work if we go in and have a really great idea. And if we go in and want to do stuff, we must come underneath, and we must come to strengthen and uplift, and we must honour the legacy of Bruce and Marley and what they have done. And I have in my mind all the time, run it past Bruce, check if that works for him, because they have done the hard yards, and they have hung in there, and they have been not listened to and not supported, and they've not seen things happen, but they have stuck it out. And we're 18 months into it, and I think it's so important to honour him and to honour them and what people like them have done. So as a trust, that's what we'll do. We're not coming in with flash ideas. We're not going to come in and say, look, actually we have got the answer, and this is how we're going to sort you out. We're going to come in separate in a sense of our church, but with doing what Jesus wants us to do. And Te Aroha has sustained over this amount of time because they've got a strong Christian kaupapa. You can feel it, you can see it, you can hear it. They have not strayed away at all. They've not just become compassion and social service and social justice, but they have managed to keep, one of the big pieces of advice he gave us is to keep that separate entity, because then anything that happens with church, anything happens over time and different name changes or different issues, that you preserve the sanctity, I guess, of what you're wanting to do. And so we've already got that set up. I was really encouraged at the amount of things. We've got people, resources, we're fizzing with ideas. We're actually a little bit further than they initially started with. So that was really great, because the reality is we haven't got the playgroup happening yet. This building thing has been taken 7 months now. I just she reminded her of the day I would like. Wednesday morning would be awesome, and we've tried that many times, and that booking schedule has been lost and forgotten and not heard of. But I happened to meet the mayor and told her as well. I thought, just every person I meet, I just say, I just need a room, just put me in a room. I just need a room. I've collected a whole plastic container of milk bottle lids. I look like a person who's got some hoarding issues, but I'm doing things, small things, in faith, because this is going to happen, and when we do, we want to be ready. And there's already people that have given beautiful, brand new things to the playgroup. There's already resources the ministry has given us, which is not, ministry don't give you things. So there's already things happening, and so I just wanted to share, look on this website and look for yourself and just see an idea of where we're heading. It won't look exactly like that because we have to meet the needs of our community, and they didn't always look like that. But just to encourage you that when in front of us doesn't look like something's happening, that we have a vision for where we want to go, and we're really encouraged by that visit. So I'm going to pass a clipboard around. I might just put it over at the info desk. If you would like to, we'd love to in the future take some people. We need to approach this really carefully because we haven't fully asked them if that's okay. But we'd love to show some people to Aotearoa so that you can catch that vision. We'd love to pray with a group of people that are really interested in seeing that happen. We'd love to hear what you can offer, and really it is straightforward as tuning up, or you could do baking, or you might be able to make something. You know, it's really simple things, but I just love to know who those people are so that we can keep encouraging each other and it doesn't feel fragmented. Right, I've said too much, that's all.
Oh, so good. Again, that feels real good because it's been like, you have Sundays and it's like, that sermon and worship, we have our little thing that we do there to give an update about that trust side of things is super exciting. And because that vision hasn't wavered in terms of just particularly Maraenui, just been a real blessing there. We want to pray for renewal for the whole Bay, but then we want to especially just think with smart around how we, with social, with a trust like that, we could really serve Maraenui.